It's been about a year since I had some raised beds put into my front garden and transformed it from your plain patch of grass in a semi-detached house. Typical housing estate front garden. Space for a car, space for another car, but I don't need that. Apologies for these really bad before photos. But this is what it was looking like this time last year, around about April 2024. And we're going to just work on the front garden in today's video, and I will show you how far it has come in just a year. So straight away, 1 year later, you can see that the perennials that I planted a year ago are much fuller, lusher and established. Now I am going acoustic in the garden today. I am using all my hand tools. So I do sometimes get people saying, girl, you need a leaf blower, you need a strimmer, you need electric. I actually have those tools sitting in the shed. But like I said in a previous video, some days I treat the garden like the gym. I don't go to the gym. I do garden yoga instead. And strength training comes from using the shears. So today is garden gym day for me. And actually, I'm going off topic, but I remember as a kid, my dad was always in the garden. And anytime it was his birthday or Christmas, people would buy him tools. Like his brother would buy him a really expensive electric tool, and he never used them. And it always baffled me why he never used those tools that would make his life easier, in my opinion, as a kid. And he favoured using the hand tools. And now I totally get it. I don't know what it is. I think there's something satisfying when you sit down absolutely knackered in the evening after a good gardening session. So yes, I will be using the sweeping brush and not the leaf blower today. I'd love to know, are you the same? There's something kind of meditative. I don't know. You like to get your exercise in, or are you just get me in, get me doing the garden jobs as quick as I can, and then we are done? Because of all the lovely sunshine that we've had in the month of May, the front garden has absolutely exploded with colour, foliage. It's looking really green and lush. Even though it hasn't rained in a good, like the past 2 weeks, there hasn't been much rain. And we did have a lot of rain early April, so I can't complain, but I am keeping an eye on things and making sure that they're not drying out. I will show you in a second how the mini meadow is looking. So if you remember last year, I experimented. I'll insert the little clip that I have. So I experimented, I had some cardboard, leftover soil, and I did a no dig meadow. So I just wanted to experiment and see, could you do a no dig one? Because I was told that it is better to take off the top layer of turf because the meadow mix will compete with grass, which I think is what's happening this year. It's looking very luscious and very grassy, but I did see some wild carrot in it, so I might get some flowers in it. This spring, I had a little experiment at a DIY no-dig mini meadow. I had some leftover cardboard and soil. I laid this down on a patch on my grass, sprinkled some native wildflower mix onto it, and this is what it's looking like at the moment. It did take a while to germinate, and to be honest, this would have grown better had I have turned the soil over. That was a lot of effort, and I wanted to see if I could do a no-dig method. My grass already has lots of clover in it, but I have to say I am loving the pop of red from the poppies. In the raised beds, I went for a mix of perennials and shrubs. I actually didn't put any spring bulbs in here. Well, I do have some alliums which flower around about May time, so I think they're kind of a spring bulb. I have some geums dotted in because I love the way their foliage gives a nice cover, and they have a really pretty flower this time of year. I have some erigeron spilling over the edge, and I was delighted that that came back this year, so that's a lovely hardy tough plant. There's some wallflowers in there. They went a bit straggly, but they have flowers on them and the bumblebees were all over them, so I will leave them before I trim them back. I did put an Amelanchier shrub slash small tree in here that has a beautiful white flower around about April time. Lovely foliage. It is deciduous. It will lose its leaves, but in autumn it has a lovely orange leaf. I also have a hydrangea. I think it's a paniculata. There's some penstemon in here as well, some verbascum. I also have a peony in here that has full of buds, so I'm going to get some flowers on that this year, which I'm really excited about. And I also have a couple of roses in here that I popped in February that were sitting in pots. And they don't do as well in pots, so I popped them into the border. I was focusing a lot on my back garden, and I was so embarrassed by the state of my front garden. Especially at the time when I was going on telly, on breakfast telly in Ireland, talking about gardening, and I was like, if anybody could see the state of my front garden, It was shocking. And I was like, there's no way people are going to be like, that is not the girl who just be on the telly talking about plants. So I had to get my front garden in order. And I'm keeping on top of it. I have to say, it's looking well. And it's relatively low maintenance. Now, when I say low maintenance, as all the perennials are established this year, I don't have to worry too much about watering. I had to keep on top of watering them last year while the roots were settling in. So now I'm just doing the tidy up. As you can see, I don't do no mow May. I have the mini meadow and another patch out the back, and I leave them all summer. I leave them all year. So I just tidy up all of the edges, give it a cut. And then if I need to prune anything in the front, I give it a good feed, give it a good mulch. And then because I use so much mulch, I don't have too big of a problem when it comes to weeding. So my front garden is not looking as bad as it did this time last year. I've noticed in the past couple of garden videos that a lot of you guys, and I love to see it, and when you say it in the comment sections, that you get motivation from when I share the little jobs that I do around the garden. So I was saying in previous videos that this year I'm trying to just enjoy the process of gardening and tidying up all my messy corners one by one, weekend by weekend, and not trying to burn myself out. The garden burnout is real. We're not doing that this year. We're just doing things step by step, week by week, and enjoying the process. So I hope you also get some motivation to get out into the garden. Sometimes I don't wait for motivation to come. I just go out, sweep up a little bit, and then before you know it, you've put an hour into the garden and you're feeling satisfied. So don't wait for motivation to come. Maybe just have a little putter and see what happens. So as you can see in this section, I have loads of daffodil foliage, and I was leaving it for as long as I could, but it was just looking so messy. So I've caved and I have plaited it so that I'm not cutting it back. I'm going to wait for it to go yellow, but I can't stand it looking so scraggly. So I am plaiting it and I am folding it down. And then I can confirm this is the video where I finally clear the bag of mulch that has been sitting in the front garden since I think January. But I think it's a new record because last year's bag of mulch I think was in the front garden until July. So May, I mean, that's a personal best for me. So I absolutely love mulching. I'm really bad at remembering to feed the plants. So I find if I mulch with fine bark or farmyard manure, this breaks down over time and it conditions the soil. And most of all, it stops weeds. Well, it's harder for weeds to kind of get in. You will still get weeds, but not as much if you don't have a mulch on top of it. Another great thing, it keeps water in. So just be careful. If it hasn't rained in a while and it's really hot and you go to mulch, don't mulch over dry soil. What you can do is give that soil a good water maybe the night before and then mulch it, because you want to be able to keep in the moisture. So if it's really hot and it hasn't been raining, you can water the soil, wait until the morning or the evening when it's cooler, and then you can put a layer of mulch on top. But I love it. And it also makes things look tidy as well. So if you have a bed that's looking a bit messy, a bit of mulch makes it look nice and tidy. Also, I do think it's time to pass on the tire planters in the front. While they were a fun project and they've been there for years now, I think I want to bring my apple tree that is out the back forward into that space. But I think a nice wicker pot or a wooden one will tie in with the rest of the garden. So while the tire planters were fun, I don't think they match the vibe anymore. But let me know in the comment section. So I want to scroll back, and this wasn't that long ago when you think about how good this little nook is looking now. This side bed had become really shady. So this footage is from September last year, and it needed a redo. And I had to consider the lighting. Now, there is trees on the other side, and I did ask the council to trim them because some of the branches were actually starting to touch my house. And thankfully, they trimmed them, and I did ask them, please don't cut them down because I absolutely love them and I get loads of birds because of them. But just trim the branches that are touching my house. And they did. So by having these trimmed, this has given a bit more light to this area. So while it's still a shaded spot, it's now got more hours of sunlight. So in the morning, it gets some sunlight. And then in the afternoon, further down, it gets loads of light. This is also right in front of my front door. So I live in like a bungalow, and my front door is at the side of the house, which is, I know it's a bit random, but it's kind of nice. So when I walk out here, I wanted it to look pretty and have some plants. I do have there's wild ivy, and I have some clematis. So there's a clematis winter beauty that has a lovely white flower around about February time, which really just brightens up the space when it's dark in winter. I had hellebores in pots, and listen, everything is better in the ground and there's less work when it's in a pot. So I put in a viburnum, verbascum. No, not verbascum, a viburnum. So evergreen shrub that has a lovely flower late winter, early spring. And I wanted something that would give me height and would also be evergreen and would fill some of the vastness of that white wall. My goal with the white wall is to try and cover it with as much climbers and trees and height, just to take the look away of the white wall. So dotted around there was already heuchera in this area, and I absolutely love heucheras for shady spots. So I decided to get some more shade-loving plants. I actually also popped in a fern. That's a teeny tiny mini tree fern. That's probably going to take about 20 years for it to grow to a decent size. But I actually got it for free in the local walled gardens. And we don't say no to free plants around here. I've since added in a geranium, a purple one. I can't remember the name, but I did mention it, I think, in last week's garden video, because it will tolerate shade, but also dry shade. Every year I condition the soil here, so I've been mulching it for the past couple of years because it was a bit of a clay. It wasn't heavy clay, but it was quite a clay soil. So over the years I have been mulching it, and that has been breaking down just to condition the structure of the soil. I also split some geums. So there is geum tangerine something, that is the orange one that is in flower, and that absolutely pops off the Brunnera Jack Frost. I also have some cyclamen, but I have the perennial variety. I think it's cyclamen coum, and this gives a lovely flower. There's a bit of an evergreen flower on it. So my goal for this semi-shady nook was to have a lot of ground cover, lots of foliage, a bit of evergreen. The star of the show at the minute, this time of year, and when I planted it, it looked a bit plain, but May it has just exploded, and that is Brunnera Jack Frost. Further up in the border, I did plant some late summer perennials. So there is some heleniums, there's some sneezeweed, Rebecca, and anemones. And I know anemones can be a bit of a thug apparently, but I don't mind if they self-seed about here because only the strong survive in this bed. So when I see a plant thriving, I don't mind. So I planted this up around about September time, knowing that it was just going to settle in over winter. And do you know what? It's a good time for planting perennials when you're thinking of the following year, because these settled in all over winter. So we had, usual Irish rain. Our winter wasn't too bad this year. I don't remember. There was like a couple of frosts, but it was fine. So when you plant perennials around about September, October time, the soil is still really warm. So the roots and the plant settles in, and then you get all that lovely water and rain over winter. So this corner has absolutely erupted, and it's probably one of the nicest this time of year. So I'm delighted with how it turned out, and it just goes to show that even if you plant something just a couple of months ago, it can thrive. So if you're starting from scratch, or if you have a corner like this that was looking a bit flat and just needed a redo, then it can transform in a couple of months. And I think a big learn for me was that sometimes things change. So what I mean is something can become more shady. So having a look around to see has trees started to grow over. This spot as well is also a bit more windy. There's a laneway beside it, and whatever way the wind kind of cuts through with the position of the house, it does get a bit more windy here, and it's a bit cooler with the shade and the extra wind as well, which could explain why some plants don't thrive here when they thrive in other areas of the garden. So if you do have a shady spot, my absolute favourite is Brunnera Jack Frost. And when it flowers in April time, thank me then. You will thank me. I've also just realised that I haven't done a bee update, so I'm going to just pop in a YouTube short that I made, just giving you a little update on how the bees are getting on in May, but I will make sure to do a longer length video and give an update in a future garden video to give you like a little proper update, because I do have to do some advanced stuff like swarm control. It's time for a honey bee update. Can't take my veil off because there's a guard bee swarming around my face and she's just waiting for me to take this off. Big day for the hives. So the nook, the swarm that I rescued last year, they built up their frames and the nook was full. So now they're after going into their very own hive. So they have more space. Strong queen, she's laying well. May get a drop of honey off them. The bees in the original hive, they have a super box on now, so they need more space. They're after getting nice and strong. They have a super box on now, so they should have some more space, and there's going to be some good weather, so hopefully that will give them some more space. Both hives have drones as well. I noticed there was drone brood and there was a couple of drones in the hive, so fingers crossed I might get a drop of honey. I might get a drop of honey this year. Both hives so far looking good. Good layers, good queens. Very nice temperament at the moment. I didn't have to use any smoke today, and there's a little bee just chilling on my hand there. Lovely markings on her as well. Can you see her? Lovely old bee. I'm still not taking my veil off because there's one out to get me. I can hear a buzzing next to me here. So that's what's happened with the bees. I'm just waiting on the last of the bees to go in from the nook into the hive, and looking good. If you could smell me right now. Oh, it's nasty. I am filthy. I feel like I need to hose down before I even get into the house. I need to have like an everything shower. Oh, if you could. There's like twigs. I'm surprised there's not ants in my hair. I'm stinking. Some days I treat it like a gym session because the gardening is our gym. Also, I got a little iced coffee in the garage. That noise is my washing machine. Okay, make good progress today. Salted caramel flavour. I'm just gonna stay here and procrastinate for about 20 minutes, listen to that robin serenading me, and yeah, I still have a tiny bit of mulch left in the bag, but I pulled the bag into the back so it's sitting next to the wheelie bin. I'm just getting loads of interruptions, so I'm going to rest. I'm going to sit on my little chair, enjoy the sun for a few minutes, have my iced coffee, get caffeinated, and I'll be brand new. Cheers, everybody. Another job that I tackled in the front garden this year was painting my wall in the front. I think the last time I did it was back in 2020 when we were all out painting our walls. Well, not all of us, but you know what I mean. Anyone who was laid off got to paint their wall. So it was time for me to freshen this up because it was looking so shabby, so dirty. And I have one of those pebble dash walls in the front. I don't know why, but that's just a thing in Ireland, that dry dashing on the wall. You can catch this video. It was back in April, so if you love a satisfying before and after, this was the beginning of the cleanup of the front for this year. So I'll throw a card in and you can check out that video if you like a nail before and after and a good cleanup and a declutter. Also, the last, I'm going to say 2 garden videos, I've been doing an awful lot of just clearing up because the weather has been so nice the month of May here in Ireland, and I've wanted to actually enjoy the garden and sit down, clean the seating area. I had an awful lot of messy corners, so if you want to have a catch up on the Sunday garden videos, you can check out the playlist, the Cottage Garden playlist. And also, there is a member playlist where all of the videos are ad-free. You also get to watch new videos before everybody else, and it supports the channel as well. There's also exclusive Q&A videos that are just for members. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.